It is time to work on this handle. The leather here is extremely dried out, so I'm going to put you down on the bench. We're going to see what we can do. This is not going to come off in one piece, I'm sure, because it feels like it is probably leather underneath. I'm going to try to just take the outside leather off and leave the inside alone because I don't want to have to reshape everything. And if that's in good shape, there's no reason to replace it. So there we go. Let's get after this, see what we can do. Some of this is already starting to pull away here. I'm just going to carefully go right along. The seam is at the top. So you can see that seam is at the top. So we're going to make it the same way. Not going to change anything about it. Well, that came off pretty good so far. It's actually leaving it in pretty good shape. Now on the ends here, there's a cap that goes over this, and these washers are what really hold it in, but the cap is a decorative cap that goes over it. So I want to keep everything intact as much as possible there. So I think I'm going to cut in down on the bottom, just because the stitch line there is kind of squished down. And this is probably 2-ounce leather. I would say it's probably a chrome tan. Which might make my life a little bit easier. Whenever I do a project like this, all this old leather will go back. And I let the customer do what they wish. Sometimes they like to keep that stuff around, at least for a little while. Well, there we go. Look at that. That went a lot easier than I thought it would. This is actually in pretty good condition. I don't know how old it is. It goes to a wooden chest. I want to say it's a toolbox, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But I'm pretty pleased with that. It went very well. I'm going to find a bag. I might have to run into the house and get one to put the leather into, and then I'll be right back. So I'm looking at it, and I think it would be judicious of me to coat this with something, mostly because it will hold whatever places are coming up. It will hold them in place. A tan coat doesn't really seal anything, so I'm not using this as a sealer. I just kind of want to use it to stick this stuff down a little better. Other than those two spots, I think it's in pretty good shape. So I'll just go along and coat the rest of it. Let the tan coat dry. I might put a second coat on. I'll let you know if I do. Don't remember where I left off. We had a couple of really cold days, and it gets cold enough in my shop that I can't come out here and work. So that's where I'm at right now. It's barely warm enough to do anything out here. But that is what it is. It's Minnesota. And it's the time of year it is. And right now I'm kind of chilly. But I got work I got to get done. And I can't stop. So, where I'm at with this trunk handle is I got it wrapped. I tan coated it. It's a paper core. And I just hand coated it to help protect it a little bit, and I wrapped it in plastic. It's just a thin plastic. I wrapped it a couple of times, got some tape holding it all on. I'm just trying to decide on what I want to cover it with, and I've got some, this would probably be ideal to cover it with. This is some kid skin, goat skin, in a 1.5 to 2 ounce. I have this in this color, and I have a lighter tan color. I don't know which would be better. I would probably call him first and ask him, but this would probably work beautifully to do it. I could do like a nice baseball stitch across it. It would be fabulous. It's got a little give to it, so it would be able to get around the corners better. That's probably what my first choice would be. I also have, this is a 3 to 4 ounce calf skin. I'd have to wet it down. It'd be a little easier to work. And this is about all of it that I have left. Don't have a lot of this left, but it's enough to do this handle. And then this is some, I'm guessing maybe a 2 to 3, 3 to 4 sheepskin. Try have have a whole side of this, or whole skin of this, and I don't know which is going to work the best. Probably, I'm thinking the sheepskin should have some flexibility to it, so that I can go ahead and stretch it out over this. You can look at which direction, because some of these skins, as opposed to a hide like a cowhide, will have some stretch to them. And if you can work with that stretch, you can get it to form around stuff a little bit better. This has the stretch going in this direction, and I just may be able to get it to form around that handle better. The calf skin is just like a cowhide. It just doesn't have any stretch really. A little bit here, but not much. The goat skin has a nice bit of stretch to it, and I could really get that to work around this handle nicely. So what I'm going to do, the sheepskin, I can wet it down, and I think I can get it to form around here really nice and make it just like the old handle was. So that's going to be my first try. The second try, I might go with the calf skin, and see, it's really going to be close coming around the handle at the top. It's going to be really tight. Trying to make that, it's going to be close. I will be right at the limits of what I've got to work with, but we'll see. With the goat skin, I would be able to just start gluing it in place right off the bat, because I know it's going to do what I want it to do. So there is that. But let's go through, let's try the sheepskin first. I can get this wet and it should form fairly nicely. I'll do my best to stay in camera. I'm not making any promises. I've got 2 coats of glue on everything, so we'll give this a shot. I'm just going to kind of get towards the center on both, and I'm just going to kind of go like this. I'm trying to stay in the center of my glue area here. So far, so good. Just using my fingers to kind of come around the corner, around the edge of it. Now I'm going to get rid of these clamps that are in my way at this point. I can roll this over so now I can see the back side, see where I'm at with as far as my glue is concerned. I can kind of see I'm at a point I'm going to have to add some more glue to get up here on both sides. Come around a little more here. So I'm going to go ahead and get that part done. So it's laid down really nice all up along here. The trick is going to be to keep it like that as I put my second coat on here in a minute and start trying to fold this over. I'm just going up, I drew a center line, kind of eyeballed the best I could to center of the handle because it's changed since I sanded it. So I want to just, I'm just going to take it kind of slow. I'm going to kind of work it a little bit in different places. I'm probably going to start here in the corner and just start working it a little bit. We'll see how it goes. I got the other side I can change and do it a little bit different there. But we'll see. It's kind of a, like I said, it's a new thing for me. So we'll see. Once I get it all around the handle, I'm going to leave it sit and do something else till this is good and dry, and then I'm going to come back and I'll stitch it and then I'll be back. But I'll be put my second coat on here, let it set up a little bit, and then I'll be back to see where we go from there. Alright, well, here we go. We'll should go a little longer, but we'll start on it. I did dampen it down a little bit more, just in a hope that we can keep things moving here. Normally on something like this, there comes a point where you'll roll over the top and it'll just kind of whoop. So you got to watch for that, because while it's a good thing, it's also a bad thing. So I'm just kind of trying to stretch. And I don't want to go, I don't want to go too fast with anything. But at the same time, you have to go fast enough that it's going to work out for you. So, I think that's got it. All I need to do, I only went up to the center line here. So let this set up for 15 or 20 minutes. And then I'll kind of fold it back and then glue up the other side. I'm just kind of pushing and stretching a little with my thumb. This end where things have somewhat stuck down and stuck the leather to itself is looking pretty good, at least from my perspective here. Once I'm able to trim some of this leather away, I'll feel much better about it, which I think I'm going to try to do right now without cutting myself, I hope. Might make some good content though. I'm not as centered as I had hoped for. I don't think it's too terribly far off. It's off though. We'll see once I get it clamped up here and get able to trim it off tomorrow. But I'm going to put my little clamps on here and leave it sit overnight. Alright, I just got back out in the shop. It is the next day. Looks dry. Feels dry. Let's take the clips off. Put that back back on that clip. I've had these clips for so long I don't even know how long I've had them. It's been a long time. keep forgetting to buy some more. Well, aside from being a little bit off, which really doesn't look like it's too far off, it feels pretty solid. I'm actually pretty happy with this result. So I'm gonna say should probably stitch it up, and I'm just gonna take my chisel and run right along the edge here, and that's about the best you can do for it. And I'm gonna run my stitch line right up against here with my knife. There it is. So I'm gonna start. I know that my end is farther in than where I'm cutting at. Alright, I want to make sure my very end is kind of straight. I will do a binding stitch around the end, so that's about where we're going to go with it. I like having my garbage can right off the edge of my bench there. I may just raise that up just a little bit. Now you can certainly, you don't necessarily have to use a chisel to make these holes. You could mark your holes and then use a stitching awl. I am going to use a two-prong chisel though, because of the curve to the handle. I'm just going to pick a spot that's about in the middle. This may be one of those where I'm just going to use an awl. I think the awl is going to work better. I'm just going to mark the holes with the stitching chisel. Because I'm not able to, this is not going to all stay in place for me to go ahead and actually punch clear through, which is fine. Alright, so I've got all my holes marked. None of them go through, but they're marked. I will set up at my stitching pony one way or another to hold this so that I can punch and stitch. So I'll get set up to do that, and then I'll be back. So I put it in this little contraption because I can kind of control the pressure that I'm holding it with. So I'm holding it fairly light. Not a lot, I can move it in there. When you have your stitching awl and you go through all the work of keeping it good and sharp, this is just a piece of silicone tubing that I keep over the end of the blade. Actually came with it when I got it. I don't remember, it doesn't have a name on it, so I don't remember the brand. Could have been almost anything. Make sure you have plenty of light Watch it, here it comes. So you just want to follow the direction, and this is sheepskin, so it's fairly easy to punch through. So I'm just making these other ones I can crank down on pretty good that are holding this clamp. Just going to make a couple of holes for now, just to get myself started. And I'm going to go back to this first hole for my initial hole. I went 4 times my distance, which I shouldn't need that much, but I even added a little more. This is the last thing I want to wind up being short on. Not great for video purposes, I guess. So now this one that just came through, I'm going back around and coming through the same hole again. And that's how you create a binding stitch around the end. I couldn't tell if the original had that, and frankly, doesn't matter. This one's gonna, because I know it's gonna help hold the end together. A little bit of a precarious position, but I'll try not to kick the camera. So I'm gonna tighten that up just a little bit. I don't want it too tight. So my holes are angled this way. I'm just kind of, you can see the shape of the awl blade. I'm just gonna hold my awl blade the direction of the hole and punch through. I'm not super great with an awl either. Just so you all know. Better move that. And a lot of people, when they're using an awl, they'll just go one hole at a time. I don't know if you can see it coming through there. I'll try to zoom in a little here. So, I'm just keep my angle. And I'm right up against the handle. I've just got my thumb here. And the blade of the awl comes out right by my thumb. You do want to be careful where you put your thumb, because that awl will run right into your finger. Given where it's ended, I ended one on this side. I already melted that off. This one I'm going to do the same. I'm just going to hold my blade here, kind of up against the thread. I don't want to move my blade. So just wiggle the thread a little, cuts it right off. Go ahead and get in here. And melt her down a little. Now I need to cut some of this off, this excess. And I'm going to take my wing divider, and normally I have an 1/8 inch stitch line there. And I kind of want to keep that. So I'm just going to go with my wing divider right on top of my stitching and try to draw that line. Let's do it from the other side here. So I'll just probably darken that a little with a pen or a pencil, probably pencil. So you can probably see that a little bit better. I'll have to use a piece of cutting board under it so I can cut that off. Let's snap a new piece here. Start with a fresh blade. Always throw your blade pieces or what have you away right away. I'm going to have to bring my light a little closer so I can see my lines. Sorry about that. So, trimmed up. There'll be some sanding. I'll be sanding this down a bit and then beveling it, edging it, and all that kind of good stuff. I'm going to go ahead and start sanding on this. I'm going to do that off camera. You've probably seen enough of my BS in my hands at this point. So I'm just going to go ahead and sand it. It's really showing up here where I got a little off. But there's not much I can do about that. Sometimes leather does what it wants to do. Other than that, I think it's coming out pretty darn good. It was off originally as well. And you could tell when I saw the stitch line that was on it. I tried to straighten that out as much as I could. But yeah, it didn't get perfect. But that paper handle was kind of shifting on me as I was working on it too. Made it kind of hard to work on. But it is what it is. We'll see what we can do about making it look a little bit better. That does not look good. I can't let that go out of my shop. I'm going to have to call my customer and say, look, I got to figure out something else because this isn't working. And I don't know what I'm going to do to make that look better. Because I can't move that. So I think about the only thing I can do is stack some heavier veg tan up and just start shaping a handle. Now, I might just toy with the idea of picking up some, oh, what is that? 1/8 inch maybe? Yeah, about some 1/8 inch bar. It's probably cold rolled 1/8 inch bar. I might toy with picking up some of that and just making a new handle altogether. And if I do that, I could do a stacked leather handle. And that would be really stinking cool. Be a whole lot of work, but it'd be really stinking cool. But I don't know, that's a lot of work. But as far off as that is, that just looks like crap. And I just can't let that out of my shop. So I'm going to have to, because that paper just, it kept shifting on me as I was trying to form it, or as I was trying to pull that around. It just kept shifting, it kept pulling apart. I just can't use it. So I'm going to have to do something. And I'm going to just stack some leather up and glue it up and hope that I can work with it. I have some veg bellies over here that I use for this kind of thing. And I'm just going to go cut up some of that and I don't know, I'm going to start getting to making something. So I'm going to draw this out on a piece of cardboard or tag board or something. So I got a rough idea what it's going to look like and go from there. There'll be a lot of shaping and a lot of work to make it that way, but I don't know. I've known this customer for many, many moons, and he's a good guy, and he deserves a good product. So I'm going to get her done. I might film some of it. I might not. I probably will, just so you guys can see what kind of goes into something like this. So I'll be back, I'm sure.